Luca Guadagnino is an interesting director I've been following since he directed Bones and All a couple years ago, which is a romantic movie about two cannibals. I know that's a crazy concept for a movie, but follow me for a second. This was the only movie I watched from Luca, but I heard about the remake he did with Superbia, and I definitely heard things about his most known movie to date called Call Me By Your Name, which basically kickstarted Timothée Chalamet's career. From a few of Luca Guadagnino's projects, what they all have in common is that the themes that he explores is the complexities of relationships, the desires, toxicity, benefits, and morality of relationships are the few examples Luca Guadagnino tackled so far in his movies. So when I heard Luca Guadagnino was making a tennis movie called Challengers with Zendaya as the lead, I thought it was interesting. So far, Zendaya is usually involved with these blockbuster movies like Dune and Spider-Man, but not only did I find out Zendaya is doing a movie with this critically acclaimed director, but in the trailer, I'm assuming she's having a threesome with these two white men. Never seen Zendaya like this in any of the things she's been in, including Euphoria. Besides all of the Zendaya stuff and Challengers being a sports movie that intrigues me, I didn't know what to expect from it besides being a very well made movie. What I can say after seeing it is Challengers is amazing. All the critical acclaim you heard from the film critics on Twitter, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic are for real. So Challengers is about three characters: Tashi Duncan, who's played by Zendaya, Patrick Swayze, who's played by Josh O'Connor, and Art Donaldson, who's played by Mike Vase. Tashi Duncan was a tennis prodigy who retired early, who's now married. Art Donaldson, a professional tennis champion and the husband of Tashi Duncan. Then you have Patrick Swayze, a tennis player who's also the best friend of Art Donaldson and the former lover of Tashi Duncan. So giving y'all the little bit of the plot, you already know this situation is already messy. What stands out about Challengers is that with most of Luca Guadagnino's films, it's about relationships, but it's about what these characters have, what they want, and is it worth the satisfaction. Without spoiling the movie, you'll get the first two questions answered slowly as the movie progresses, but near the end is up to your interpretation. Take that for what you will. What I like most about Tashi, Patrick, and Art is that they're three types of people that we usually see in a relationship, or at least in between. You have the reluctant good person in the relationship, you have the dickhead who's just straightforward, and then you have the manipulative and gaslighter of the relationship. So you would have two of the three types of people I mentioned toxic, but Luca even portrays Art as a toxic person too, with the way he moves in the movie. And he was supposed to be the good guy. So all the characters, I'll say, have some type of dimension towards them. While the characters are great, it helps that the actors are doing a fantastic job portraying these characters. Zendaya is a superstar in this movie. And like I said before, I have never seen her this sensual way. Also, besides Euphoria, where she basically plays a crackhead, I've never seen her so mean, manipulative, and selfish. She a gaslighter. Zendaya portrays that very well, and even after all the toxic stuff I've said about her character, you do feel some sympathy for her character Tashi after what she's been through in the movie. Mike Vase was great too as Art Donaldson. The way I would describe his performance is throughout the movie you'll see Mike Vase acting out the growth of Art Donaldson. There are flashbacks in the movie and you'll see Mike Vase portraying Art as this young fanboy that was happy to be involved with tennis. As time moves on in the movie, you'll see Art being more mature but still have that naive tennis fanboyism he had as a teenager that Mike Vase portrays very well. Josh O'Connor as Patrick Swayze stands out the most to me. Patrick was charismatic and at the same time very scummy. Josh was able to play a dickhead and not in the stereotypical way, but more of Patrick is just straightforward with being a horrible person, so he was able to portray that very well too. All the main characters are awful people, but Patrick doesn't hide it, and Josh did a good job acting it out. What I really was impressed with Luca Guadagnino's direction is that the movie is not that sensual, but it's sensual. See, while I was watching this movie, I was afraid that we was going to get a few 5-minute sex scenes of Zendaya getting plowed by these two men together and separately. I hate seeing sex scenes in the movie theater, and seeing it in Dolby with loud surround sounds with a sold out crowd would have been insane. Luca didn't do that. So if you're looking at the promotion and advertisement of this movie and expecting 50 Shades of Grey or blue is the warmest color, lower your expectations. But the way Luca made the movie sensual was very, very subtle. Luca would show a scene of Zendaya in tennis gear, and you show a little bit of the tights, a little thigh here and there, whatever. Luca would do that. Also, the way the characters eat their food is even sensual, and it's insane. Someone eats a half a protein bar near their esophagus, and in the next cut, another character eats a banana. Like, it was a way of flirting. Once you see, you understand what I'm talking about. Luca would be doing those types of scenes to make the movie sensual than just showing the sex scenes. Also, the tennis scenes were dope, and all I'll say is that there is a POV shot of the tennis match, and I've never seen a tennis match filmed this way before. Other things that impressed me about Challengers is they show a little bit of the business side of tennis. You'll see Tashi in her heyday as the prodigy, and as a viewer, you'll see how Tashi is in these advertisements and winning tournaments. They will show the way Patrick would be in these tournaments, even as a non-professional tennis player. Even Art as a professional tennis player, they would show how he has to win certain tournaments in order to compete in another tournament. It was interesting how Luca would explain in the movie how the process of tennis worked as best as he could for a casual like me or non-watchers of tennis to be able to understand. The MVPs for Challengers was Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross that composed for this movie. You probably know them if you're an OG because they were a part of a group called 9 Inch Nails. That's what most people are know them from. But what I and the rest of the people be knowing Reznor and Ross from is Scoring the Social Network. Know How Perfectly is top 10 scores of all time in my opinion. I've been listening to that Social Network score daily, and Challengers is similar to that score. Reznor and Ross use the same techno music and robotic sounds to add to the fast pace and intensity to the movie. They would add the sounds you'll make in tennis, like hearing the tennis racket hit the ball or hearing a tennis player give a noise after they make a hit. It adds on to the movie. I still don't know if it tops the Doom Part 2 score from Hans Zimmer movie because it's really good, but so far the Challenger score from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross is at least top 2 of the year. Challengers is one of the best movies of the year so far, along with Doom Part 2, which funny enough stars Zendaya. This movie further cements that Zendaya is one of our new generation superstars, and also introduced two really good actors, Mike Vase and Josh O'Connor. Luca Guadagnino still impresses me with his direction, and he was able to show this movie being sexy, but not overly sexy. The movie is not like a sexual movie, so lower your expectations, but expect some shots that will at least get you horny if that's what you're there for. I would highly recommend watching Challengers. From the acting, score, romance, and even the tennis scenes is worth the price of admission.